You're listening to the Creator Mindset Podcast, episode number 9.
Welcome to the Creator Mindset Podcast, where artists, performers, and entrepreneurs share knowledge that will kick off your career and take you to the next level. Turn your vision into reality with your host, Ariane Leanza Hines.
Teal Thompson is a singer-songwriter and an avatar master. She talks about the power of our beliefs, how they can help or impede us reach our goals. She shares how when she started using the avatar tools, she realized all her dreams as an artist. She also tells us a story of other artists having done the course. You can find the show notes of this episode at arianeleanzahines.com/9 and the possible ways you can connect with Teal. And with no further ado, here is the interview with Teal Thompson. Teal Thompson has been teaching the Avatar course for more than 20 years. Avatar is an international self-empowerment program that teaches you to create your life deliberately. Teal did the Avatar course while attending the University of Texas in Austin as a voice major. She went from performing in coffee shops and open mic nights to her songs being shopped to 9 major record labels within 2 months of her Avatar course at age 23. She then used the Avatar tools to place her song into Paramount Pictures and Warner Brothers TV shows and soundtracks. In her 20s, she was inspired to deliver the Avatar course as she wanted everyone to have what she had, the power to bring one's goals and dreams to life. Teal lives in Austin, Texas, and teaches the Avatar course all over the US and Latin America in Spanish and in English. Welcome, Teal.
Good morning, Ariane. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Great. I'm so happy to be here today.
I'm so happy to have you on. Thank you for waking up so early in Austin, Texas.
My pleasure. This is really exciting.
And I'm really curious to know a little bit more about your story and what were you doing in your music career right before you did the Avatar course?
That is such a great question. There were a few things happening in my music career right before I did Avatar. As you just read in my bio, I was a singer-songwriter guitarist and really early on was playing in coffee shops and open mic nights and just sort of in the local scene here in Austin, Texas. And I had hit a bit of writer's block. In fact, I'd hit a lot of writer's block. I was prolific, but blocked. So I think I had written about 80 incomplete songs in the 2 months right before I did Avatar. And so at the time I was performing in these places from songs that I had written, a while back, but I had hit a snag in my own system and was feeling blocked for whatever reason. So it was really interesting to be so filled with creativity, but then I couldn't complete anything that I was starting to write. So I was feeling actually quite frustrated when I did Avatar in terms of my music, because I knew that something had gotten stuck and I wasn't quite sure what it was. So I was a voice major at the University of Texas and I was performing in the top singing group there, the Chamber Singers, and the person who is the director of that group he now leads a Grammy Award-winning professional singing group that's, he's based in Austin, but his singers are from all around the world, actually, and they're called Conspirare. And so it was a phenomenal experience singing with him and doing my own shows, but to be honest, I was feeling really frustrated.
I can imagine starting 80 songs and not finishing them. You must have thought, oh my goodness, what's wrong with me? Something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how did you encounter the Avatar course? Did you meet someone? How did that happen?
Yeah. So I was in college and I was getting together with a friend of mine. Our moms have known each other since elementary school. So we're really dear friends. His name is Teak Elmore. And he's actually my oldest brother's age, 9 years older than me. But we've just always had this incredible spiritual connection, Ariane. And I hadn't seen him in probably a year. And he was coming to Austin and we had decided to get together for a movie. And it's the kind of friendship where you don't talk for a year, 2 years, and you just pick right up and as if no time has passed. And so I was standing on the curb of the parking lot at nighttime waiting for him. And when he got out of his car, at night, he was glowing and there was this peace in him that I had never felt before. And so when he got up to where I was standing, I was like, you start talking right now. What did you do? Because I could feel it. And we were always comparing notes on, books we were reading or workshops we were taking or courses we were interested in. And he just looked at me and he said, I did the Avatar course and it's everything we've been looking for. It's put together in one course what we've been wanting to experience. And for him, he's actually an incredible artist. He's a sculptor, a painter, photographer, and his art completely took off right after Avatar. And the month after his course, people were calling him left and right, seemingly out of the blue, but as a direct result of him using the tools for all kinds of art commissions. He started an art walk in his city, and his art just exploded. And his art had been on the back burner because he was helping to run his family's business. And so he didn't have to let go of the business. He was able to create all of it simultaneously. And all of a sudden, he had been telling me for years that he wanted to get back into his art. And then all of a sudden, when he did Avatar, his art just took off and exploded. And the one other thing that was so incredible was that he had also been engaged to someone, and mutually the two of them, about 6 months before their wedding, felt in their heart of hearts that they weren't the right people for each other. So they called off their engagement. And he met his wife to this day, 7 days after his Avatar course, and they were engaged 2 weeks later. Mm-hmm. And now they're happily married with a 20-year-old. So,
wow.
I wanted what he was having. Everything we had been talking about for years, he created within a month of his Avatar course. And I just looked at him and I was like, I will be having what you're having. And I was on the Avatar course, the next Avatar course, 11 days later.
I really find it very fascinating when people like him, for example, have like a big turn in their lives. And it feels like they took a magic wand and like suddenly everything is, pink and purple, or I don't know, if you would put it in colors. Yeah. But it's not really that, is it? It's not a magic wand. It's often that they change something within.
Absolutely.
Could you say that was the case for you?
Absolutely, Ariane. It's so, in fact, that's such a great point. I think that, for example, from using the tools of the Avatar course, that when we do go to create reality, oftentimes the way in which we end up manifesting is the part that feels very magical. But the tools are very deliberate in aligning your consciousness with what you want to achieve. So you let go of limiting beliefs, you let go of patterns that are sabotaging you, and you start to really learn how to create and step into the vibration of what you want to become. So Harry Palmer, the creator of the Avatar course, has a quote from Resurfacing, which is the first 2 days of the Avatar course. And he says, don't let what you're being get in the way of what you might become. And the tools allow you to do that because you're restructuring your consciousness according to where you want to go. It's very, very individualized, very personal. So for each person, they have their own unique goals and dreams and what's precious to them in their heart, what they want to create. And so absolutely, it's funny that it feels magical and can look magical from the outside, and even to the person who's stepping forward into creating what they're wanting. But actually, it's a very practical way of creating what it is that you're wanting and letting go of what's no longer serving.
It's very interesting. I had a Resurfacing a few weeks ago, and I was talking with one of the students, and she said that she feels like there's a lot of little differences, but she says, but sometimes we don't really realize because it's somehow what I wanted and now it's there, but I don't realize it was the work I did. It's kind of like we forget the old way and the new way becomes the new reality.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I love most about Avatar is that it's non-confrontational and that it's subtle but very profound, and changes can occur very quickly. So,
absolutely.
In terms of restructuring our consciousness, you could change one belief and it'll change your whole life.
Yes, because that belief was applied to many, many aspects of your life and was influencing. Is that what's happening?
Exactly right. It's like a filter that filters out all of our experiences. So if you believe I'm not enough, that's not going to affect just one area of your life. That would affect relationships and your ability with money, or your ability as an artist to be on stage and connect with an audience. It would affect everything.
How did those changes benefit your music? And what kind of results did you achieve from using the Avatar tools yourself?
Okay, so I love this question. So from using the Avatar tools myself, I had an incredibly life-changing transformation from my first Avatar course, the first 9 days. And during those 9 days, Ariane, I was really exploring all of the beliefs that I had about being a musician and an artist. And, you know, oftentimes I feel that in the collective consciousness of artists in particular, we have beliefs like you have to pay your dues, or you have to be in the right place at the right time, or there's all this talk of being a starving artist. So I just took it on. I took it on and started exploring and really letting go of these limiting ideas around being an artist, or even my age. There's a lot of beliefs about what you can do at certain times in your life. And, you know, I was in college when I did Avatar, and I feel like through that exploration, I was able to come out shining because I could let go of all of these limiting ideas and beliefs and start to really create new beliefs that empowered me into a new direction. And one of the tools that you learn in section 2 of the Avatar course gives you the ability to create whatever reality you prefer. And so I started really stepping into the reality and creating with those tools of section 2. It's called creating a primary. And a primary is something that you really want to create. You know, you use your excitement as your guide and you really want to create it. And then you're able to handle what are called secondaries, and that's anything in the way of the primary. So for me, I really started to create that I was a successful musician contributing my gifts and talents to the world. And so I went straight from my Avatar course. I hopped on a plane to Los Angeles to visit a friend of mine, my best friend actually, who was in a play. And in the first 3 days of being in Los Angeles, I ended up writing 4 songs total and laying down basic tracks with a producer friend of mine who I had known from Texas but was living in Los Angeles. And the power and the energy in those songs was incredible. And what people said about my songwriting itself right after Avatar is that they could so relate to my music now. I was really coming from my feel. I was so connected with myself and my higher self and who I truly was. And the intention was so pure to positively impact the world with my music, of being able to really touch lives and help other people to open up. And it was night and day different. So I was able to, not only did my actual songwriting change, it became more authentic, that everyone could relate to it, that I had this incredible experience. And then I ended up finishing 5 songs total with that same producer. And he flew back to Austin, and we finished those 5 songs with the hottest musicians in Austin at the time. And he hopped back on a plane to Los Angeles and had all of the rough mixes. They weren't even final mixes. They had all of the rough mixes, and he sat next to an artist representative who fell in love with my music and started shopping my songs to 9 major record labels. So it was just an extraordinary, truly extraordinary shift from playing coffee shops and open mic nights and having writer's block to having my songs being shopped to major record labels in Los Angeles as a 23-year-old.
Yes. And what happened then? What did you decide to do? How did you continue your music career?
Well, many things happened from there. After looking at the opportunities with the record labels, I really felt into it and decided that what I wanted to create was not necessarily that. With the record labels, they would have had really total control over my music career. And I still wanted to be able to have that ability to innovate and take things where I wanted them to go. So I decided not to go that route. But the part that lit me up the most was being in the studio. And I got really excited about having my songs on television shows and in films. And I had never done that before. I knew nothing about that part of the industry at all. And I was at that time, right after I did Avatar, I ended up moving to Los Angeles. And again, I created a primary, which is how you create reality, a tool for creating reality from Avatar, that I would start landing my songs onto TV shows and films. And what's so neat about it is that you never know how it's going to happen. So you end up attracting opportunities. And I ended up one night, a friend of mine had invited me to an Oscars party, and I was literally in my workout clothes. And if you know anything about Los Angeles, you know that if you try to get from point A to point B, you're going to miss everything that's happening. So I decided to go to this party in my workout clothes from the gym, because I knew that if I went home and came all the way back, I would have missed the entire thing. And because my intention was so clear and I had created this reality, I ended up meeting a music supervisor that evening who worked for Paramount Pictures. And he was the one who ended up putting several of my songs into several different TV shows and soundtracks for Paramount Pictures. And it was an incredible experience because, really my primary was to be able to impact the world with my music. And one of my songs, for example, ended up on a Paramount Pictures show, and the song itself carried a scene for 1 minute and 45 seconds on its own, where there was no dialogue. And that's a really long time in the TV world to have a piece of music carrying several scenes. And from that show, that particular show, I ended up, I believe, for me to write it, he had called me into his office and said, "Do you have anything that would be good for this? We can't get the rights to this Fiona Apple tune, and we'd really love to have something like this." And I had just started writing a song the night before. And the funny thing about that, I'll just say this as well, because it's part of a result of using the Avatar tools, is that Avatar also really allows you to fully experience what's there so you can move through things quickly. And the night before, I had seen, as I was walking down a street in Melrose in Los Angeles, a friend of mine was on the cover of Interview magazine as a songwriter. And it said, "Overnight Star, Abra Moore." And I was feeling really jealous. And I went, "Oh, I'm just going to go get this out." So I went home and turned off the lights and started writing this really jealous song. And I was like, "Oh, this feels so good. No one will ever hear this song. It's incredible." And I just let it all out. And, again, in Avatar, you just learn how to experience and feel things without judgment. And it's such a beautiful experience, because then you don't stay stuck in them, for weeks, months, years. You're able to experience through things. So I just let myself have it for a half an hour. And I just wrote like a first verse and first chorus and played my heart out. And I was like, "Oh, wow, that was great. No one will ever know that I had that." And it was gone. And but it ended up being the perfect song for this scene that ended up airing literally all over the world.
Wow.
So I find that hilarious that's how a primary works. Sometimes we don't know how it's going to manifest, but you're certain that you're going to create the reality. So he gave me the episode and I ended up writing the rest of the song to the episode. And for just that amount of work, I think it took me about less than half a day to write the song. And then a week or two later, I was in the studio and it took me to do my vocals and my guitar track, to lay that down, maybe an hour total. So for about a day of work, that was what it took me to do my part of writing and recording. And from using the Avatar tools, this song, where it ended up airing all over the world, I ended up making about $35,000 from 8 hours of work, because the show just kept airing and airing and airing in different parts of the planet. And it was just so neat. I was able to create residual income in that amount of money, as a 25-year-old. And that was just so exciting to be able to use the tools to create this creation I was so happy about and proud of, and where it actually did make a positive impact in the world in that way.
Yeah, and use your skills as a musician to actually live the life you wanted also.
Yes. I really fully experienced what I wanted as a musician in that way.
That's great. And I know you have witnessed for the past 20 years many people going through the Avatar course. Were there other musicians or artists that you saw in the course, and did they have also spectacular results like you did?
Of course, there have been all kinds of artists in every form that you can imagine that I've, had the grace of working with through all of these years, that we've all, as a global team, we actually teach as a global team. So we often get to work with our and everyone else's students. And, I've worked with everyone you can imagine, from performance artists to visual artists to videographers to musicians, etc. One of my students, who is just one of the most incredible musicians I've ever met. He's not only a singer-songwriter guitarist, but he's also a beatboxer and a performance artist. And I've known him for a long time now. Actually, I met him in college, and I just always knew that he would go really far in life with his music. But every time I would see him, he was playing in these small venues and it just didn't add up. And he ended up coming to do the Avatar course with me and our team. And he, after his course, it was never for lack of his talent. He's one of the most talented musicians I've ever met in this lifetime so far. But he just had some beliefs in the way as well. And when he did his course, I think it was 2 or 3 days after his course, Cirque du Soleil approached him and wanted to design an entire show around him. He's so talented. And he has just gone on to create so many neat things. He also decided that was not something he wanted to do, because he knew that it would basically take up his time for the next 2 years, where he wouldn't be able to do anything else. And one of the things about Avatar is that it increases a person's compassion, personal responsibility, and service to others in the world. And the part that was awakening in him was really wanting to help other artists. So he ended up creating a platform that was really helpful for other artists. It's called Patronism, and it was to be able to have people basically support artists ongoingly in their work. But his focus shifted from just his career to wanting to empower an entire community of artists, where they could actually be empowered to bring their craft to life and be successful at it, and to be supported in different ways. So it was a very beautiful shift for him. But he has gone on to do things like he played the Glastonbury Festival in the UK. I think that was about a year ago, and he played in front of 300,000 people in an audience. So his career totally transformed from where it was to where it is today.
Do you have another story of that kind?
Oh my gosh, there's too many to name, but we actually have, there's a website called avatarresults.com, and you can read all kinds of success stories there.
Are you still currently using the avatar tools to shape your career? And what are the results?
Well, in terms of my music career, I actually did everything I was wanting in the first 10 years of it after Avatar. So I just had so much success in every realm. I was a performing artist in Los Angeles and had my songs on TV shows and films, and would sometimes sing on other people's projects, for Sundance or whatever it was. When I was in my 20s and was having so much success, one of the things that was a really interesting experience right after the course was for about a year and a half, all of my friends who were also in their 20s were just so excited about what I was creating. And they kept saying to me, "Gosh, you're so lucky. You were so lucky." And I kept telling them for that time frame, I was like, it's not luck. I have the most amazing tools on the planet. And so I ended up starting to teach the Avatar course in my mid 20s. And I just found that me helping another being awaken and to really create their goals and dreams and having them come to life was what touched me at such a deep level that there was really no joy for me greater than that. So I love music as self-expression these days, but it was something that I felt like I actually accomplished every single goal or dream that I set out to accomplish by using the tools. And so then when I was ready to segue out of that, I just did it gracefully. And that's one of the beautiful things about this work is that sometimes I feel there's an indoctrination that says if you've been doing something for X amount of time, you need to keep doing it in that form. But with the Avatar tools, we're always evolving and growing. So I feel like I've lived 100 lifetimes in my life since I've done the course. And that's one of the most refreshing things about it is that we can constantly be evolving. I have also produced many projects that involve music since that time, but I really did everything I wanted to do directly as a singer-songwriter guitarist.
And what is your passion for delivering the Avatar course to this day in the US and Latin America?
I think that since I was a little girl, I grew up in Houston, Texas, and I always had a sense of being a citizen of the world. I never really felt as connected to place. Some people really identify with where they're from or, their nationality or their identity in that way. And I don't know. I just always had this sense of the world at large when I was little. I had a pen pal from Turkey when I was when I was 14 or 13, somewhere in that time frame. And I started living in Latin America when I was 16. I did health and development work in several different Latin American countries when I was 16, 17, 18 during the summers. And then when I was 19, I did an independent study abroad in Costa Rica. And I think that I've just always loved being connected to the world and helping to dissolve borders in that way. And every time I am delivering the Avatar course on our international courses, on our advanced courses, and I look around a room with people from literally all over the world, from 5 years old to 95 years old, from every race, religion, background, from every different culture. And I realized that it is fulfilling this dream for me that I never had in words, but it was always a feeling to want to be able to create more connection, more unity, and less separation. So for me, there's just no other grace than helping another human being become a source being and have tools for creating in the world of all limitless possibilities and being able to do that with different cultures. I love speaking Spanish. I'm fluent in Spanish. I speak some Portuguese, and So when I go to teach in Mexico or when I'm on our international courses in Orlando, I'm lit up like a Christmas tree. One of the other things that Harry Palmer says that I just love in one of his videos, he says, and it's not a direct quote, but he says, the happiest moments you'll ever have are from the smile on someone else's face. And I just love that, because as I see people, like I had a student once, who was, when he came to do Avatar, he was in his 20s as well. And he was really torn up over a breakup he had had. And, you know, he just really felt that this person was his soulmate, and he did all of this work and consciousness on it. And he is now married to that person, and they have several children and they're living this happy, beautiful life together.
Oh, wow.
And, so for me, that brings me so much joy to see people realizing their goals and their dreams and getting on with what it is that they're here to contribute and to give to the world. And another quote from Harry that I love is, each moment that you're happy is a gift to the rest of the world. And I so feel that in every single student I have the honor of working with these tools.
Well, thank you so much, Teal. And now I'm going to play
Yes, thank you so much. It's been great to chat with you today.
I'm going to play one of your songs, and also I will also put all your connection, your website and how people can reach you if they want to maybe talk to you about the Avatar course in the show notes of this episode. Thank you so much for being with me, and we'll end up with Teal's song.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Have you seen the stars lately? Have you seen the stars? Have you checked out the sky? Check it out. What do you really want to do? In the deepest part of you, you can do anything you want to do, anything at all. But if I could rain the moon, and if I could make the sunshine, if I could change the winds, I'd give you all of it. If I could rain the moon, and if I could make the sunshine, if I could change the winds, I'd give you all of it.
I find it so inspiring when we encounter a course or exercises which will help us reach our goals, our dreams. If you're really feeling inspired with this episode, I'm inviting you to connect with Teal and go to the show notes of this episode. You can find them at www.arianleanzaheinz.com/9. And if you like this episode, you can subscribe, share, and give us a review on iTunes. Actually, if there are good reviews on iTunes, then I might do a shout out to you. So go ahead, go on iTunes, write a review, and we will love to give you a shout out in the next episodes. All right, have a wonderful day and see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Creator Mindset podcast at www.arianleanzaheinz.com.